Scanning for audio.
Welcome to another Tin Dog podcast. Now, I'm sure you're aware that Big Finish seem to be knocking out a lot of trilogies of late, and that's perfectly fine. It gives you a sort of feeling of continuity. It gives you a feeling similar to a series. And let's face it, when Colin Baker was the Doctor, you basically got 4 stories per season. Well, here you're getting 3 stories and then a bit of a rest. Story number 1 in this series, and I know I've reviewed the second story, Brood of Eris, don't shout at me, was A Cure for Oblivion. The reason I wanted to review that one first is because I actually enjoyed Brood of Eris more, despite what I might have said in a review. Cure for Oblivion is an odd creature. It didn't inspire me, which is odd, because I am enjoying the 6th Doctor and Flip's journeys. I'm no longer sure where it fits. Is this the 6th Doctor as seen before he meets Mel? I really need to have a look at some sort of flowchart. But that's not important. In fact, that's the sort of thing that just distracts you from enjoying these stories. Now, everyone knows how much Colin Baker has grown and been accepted by us, and how much love we have for Colin's 6th Doctor on audio. But when I was a kid, and when I was growing up, 2 stories that didn't really do it for me were Vengeance on Varos, which I just didn't kind of get. I only had a memory of a giant fly and some sort of starvation thing. I get it now. And I also didn't like Mind Warp. Now, on some level, that's because they got rid of Perry. Spoilers. But they also got rid of a lot of the feel for the programme, as far as I was concerned. And I just didn't quite get Doctor Who at that point. I didn't like Syl. Now, as an actor, Nabil is brilliant. I'm not going to count that. I didn't like Syl because he gave me the creeps. I know that's kind of the whole point of a monster, but that kind of stuck with me. In the same way that I understand the mechanics of K9 now, but the emotional level that I loved K9 at the beginning is still there. Am I making sense? And still, Syl gives me the creeps. So I wasn't particularly looking forward to listen to this, mainly for that reason. But it's the baggage that comes from these other stories that fills up the ground here. Now, under a Tory government, which is what we had when we had those other stories. You see, I don't want to get all political about this, but this is the closest we've had to a political story in Doctor Who since, well, Davros. And that was dealing with globalisation. And the ultimate drive of any capitalist society being towards war. As an argument rather than as an opinion. Here we have ideas that were put forward by Swift and people like that, saying that, even down to Scrooge, where populations, if we could just have a little bit of a cull, would be easier to manage. It's a fiscal argument that as long as you have no moral compass, works. And that's what Syl is. He is the example of that. That's the kind of world this is set in. But also you've got the whole Blake 7 drugged up society sort of thing going on. You definitely had, well, that whole Greek chorus, 2 characters who were introduced in order to comment as things go by. And that's the trick. You see, I fell for that, thinking that the 2 people who lived in the underground, a little bit too reminiscent for my liking, of the people who live in the underground in the future in Mysterious Planet. Yes, Mysterious Planet. But the underground society, pun intended, doesn't really make that much of a show. But it's just hinted at enough to know that that's where the rebellion must come from, if there's going to be one. Because, of course, being Doctor Who, we're dealing with a future Britain. So yeah, this story isn't completely aimed at me. I may be sitting there with the politics going, yeah, right on. But Syl still gives me the creeps after all these years. Colin's great. Lisa Greenwood as Flip, still great. But the references back to, well, Martin's earlier work just make me go, okay. And yeah, perhaps under the Tories, this is the sort of Doctor Who we kind of deserve. But one of the things that struck me when I think back at the story isn't Syl, isn't the other mentors running different bits of, the Earth. No, it's one throwaway remark. There's another Time Lord in this story, you see, and he used to be the bully that bullied the Doctor. Tiny hints like this at the Doctor's early life are the sort of thing I craved as a child. I wanted to know more about what made him tick. Perhaps I still do, perhaps I don't. I just don't know. But it was interesting to know that this sort of thing was still going on. And it does fit with the Sixth Doctor. The sort of thing that was always talked about. Not just throwaway remarks about meeting someone from the past or the future, but this here. Something specific to the Doctor. Would you help someone who picked on you as a child? All of those child emotions all neatly packaged away, ready to come out? Because scratch the surface an adult and you'll find the child who kind of wants revenge. Perhaps I'm being too personal on this one. So let's leave this and discuss something else a little bit more classical next time, with more Tom Baker antics. And yeah, this story might not be for everyone, but it is for me. Syl is back. Syl is great. Syl still gives me the creeps, which after all is what he's there for. So until next time, be seeing you.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, Antidote to Oblivion.
My request is on behalf of ConCorp here. You are supporting not just a corporation, but a country, a nation.
No, Mr. President, no! You have exceeded your credit limit.
We plan further austerity measures.
Only radical cutting will do.
How radical?
A scheme to drastically reduce your parasitical population. Doctor, what a sublime pleasure to meet with you once more.
The feeling is not reciprocated, Syl?
There's things in here with us. Doctor!
Whatever Syl has planned for us, it can only be worse than death.
I intend to break you down, piece by genetic piece.
Doctor,
Flip!
A little trauma? The odd burst of agony? Is that too much to ask?
Even by your standards, Syl, this is despicable. Is there an epidemic?
Not yet.
We must have the vaccine tomorrow at the very latest.
Antidote to what? For what?
Difficult times call for difficult solutions.
Oh, now the readings are fading. They're going to die. Both of them.
Then let the final bombardment begin!
Subscribers get more at bigfinish.com.
You've been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who is the property of the BBC and no infringement is intended. To contact the show or to find out more about Whostrology and my other works, click on the links on the Tin Dog Podcast homepage. Why not follow Blue Box Messiah, all one word, on Twitter to keep up to date with tour dates of my forthcoming Doctor Who comedy play. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.